says it'll pass. That is like, ooh, even right now, I feel it.
Do you think Priest and Fleabag were soulmates?
I do. I think that that's like the beauty of the love story there. Like they had a undeniable connection.
Some stories don't just stay with you, they change you. Welcome to Story Obsess, the podcast for anyone who has ever loved a story more than they can explain. I'm your host, Alyssa Much, and every episode I sit down with someone who is unapologetically obsessed with a specific story. Could be a TV show, a book, a movie, fan fiction, even a play. It's any narrative story that's kind of captured their heart. So we're going to talk about the story, we're going to talk about their obsession, and we will answer our ritual question, who needs this story right now? Today's guest is Steph D'Angelo. She's a lawyer, business owner, the absolute life of the party in every room. And today, she's here to obsess over Fleabag with me. So let's get into it.
Oh my God. I loved it. Thanks for having me, Alyssa.
Welcome. How's it going today?
The life of the party. Thank you. Um, a lawyer being the life of the party. Who could have thought it? My day's going great. I got Starbucks multiple times.
I didn't think you drank coffee. You're not a big coffee
What?
drinker?
What do you think I do?
You drink coffee?
What? No. Oh yeah. Oh
Okay,
yeah. What do you
interesting.
think I do?
I thought you did tea. I thought you were a tea girl. Like me, I'm a tea girl.
Oh, that's so. Oh, you're a tea girl? No,
Mm-hmm.
that's so cute. No, I mean today I was tea girl,
There you go.
but like so I need like straight espresso sometimes. Like straight up espresso. Yeah, no, sometimes it doesn't feel great later, but it does like do what you need it
Do the
to
job in
do,
the
which is
moment.
like wake up. Yeah, wake up. Wake the fuck up.
Hell yeah.
Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
cool.
is this is a adult podcast. I'm so excited to chat with you about this. We had a conversation at one point about Fleabag before the podcast was even an idea. And when I was starting to create, write down my thoughts about what this podcast could look like, that conversation kept coming back to me. And when I texted you about it and I was like, would you want to do Fleabag? You immediately responded yes, but you said, like, the quote you said was, I think it's the most romantic story ever made. And
Yeah.
I resisted the urge to ask more questions then because I wanted to save it for now. So I'm super pumped to chat about this with you.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. Yeah, I did say that. I do think do you think it's romantic?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that, like, as women, we are everything's a buildup, right? Everything is about the buildup, and
Slow
I think
burn.
that yeah, that slow burn, it has nothing to do with her, really, but the hot priest. I mean, um, and their connection and how it is built and how it is created not just from like a perspective of obviously there's like lust and everything involved there, but um there's a connection, there's an emotional and spiritual connection. And I think that's why like a priest would be in that position, right? Because he is sensing something more within and of course, you're tempted constantly physically, as men, I assume at least as men, but, um, I think for somebody who's, like, devoted their life to that kind of cause, right, to say that I'm gonna give up everything, the real temptation is that is that love connection, that spiritual and, like, emotional connection that clearly existed, and so, yeah, like, the buildup is what I thought was romantic.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think some of our listeners might not know the story, so I think it would be great. I'm gonna ask you if you're up for a fun little challenge. I'm gonna ask you to recap this story or summarize this story. I'll put a timer on for 90 seconds. I'll start the clock and Seth, give us the 90-second version. What is Fleabag about?
Fleabag is 2 seasons, and, it is, based around this particular character who is named Fleabag. That's the only name that we know this person for. She's a younger woman, I guess, in, like, her late 20s, early 30s, who is navigating grief in the 1st season, like, specifically, and and her grief is really based around the loss of her close friend, Boo, who committed suicide, right? That's it was, like, she's struggling with that, and that was her closest friend, and she had also just 3 years prior lost her mother as well, so she's navigating that, and she has some guilt, around, the death of her friend Boo, and, you kind of see her dealing with these things that 1st season, and, in the 2nd season it's more focused on how she is moving on a little bit, and a relationship with Hot Priest. And again, all we know is his name is Hot Priest, and how it develops and she kind of learns to love again, you know? Oh, um, and that's it, yeah.
Perfect.
That's the
Perfect.
best I could do. I think the most important thing that I left out of that summary is that she owns a guinea pig cafe that doesn't make any money. And that is such a privilege in London, in London. What a privilege. Like, I mean, I will open up a guinea pig cafe tomorrow if somebody funds me, please. Like, give me all the guinea pigs. That's like a privilege in of itself. She's like, scattered like anybody kind of in that like time of their life where they don't really know their direction, but add to that that her best friend just fucking died,
Mhm.
and she feels a lot immense guilt about that, and her mom died. Um,
Yeah.
and her dad is detached. He is totally detached. It might be his way of coping to some degree. We don't know that because we don't know anything before that. But he's overwhelmed by everybody's emotions. I think that's pretty obvious. He kind of like distanced himself from Fleabag because the way that she's managing things is just chaos. Like she's doing everything that she can to feel something other than her sadness.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
right. Whereas like her sister Claire is like doing everything she can to have control over her life. And um she has, like, one moment of chaos where she gets a really terrible haircut, which is, like, hilarious.
Love it.
That's another thing that I missed from that summary is that this is a funny show. Despite all of that, there's a lot of hilarious shit that goes on, because Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a genius, and, this is a masterpiece. It's just a masterpiece of a show.
Like, around the time that I watched it, I think was kind of a time where I was getting my shit together. You know what I mean? Like, I was starting to be more of an adult, like, I feel like I was starting to be able to pay my bills, I had a decent job, I had, like, health benefits, like, all and I feel like watching that show, I don't know, it just, like, it's something I don't wanna say everyone goes through that I don't think everyone goes through the intense, despair that Fleabag is experiencing, I think a lot of people do, but not everyone. But I think I had come out of a time in my life that was probably the most challenging time in my life, and I don't know, something about just seeing it, like, it felt cathartic in a way. It felt like I was, like, vicariously, like, moving on from my own intense period by watching her suffer through hers. Is there anything that you remember, like, being like, "Everyone's gotta watch this show now that I've seen this?"
I loved how they broke the fourth wall. That's something I love about OG Sex and the City, like the 1st season, they broke the first wall more, and then it just, like, trickled off and stopped, and, like, I feel like that's such a bad move to lose that because it brings you in, and it makes it so personalized. Like, I know so many other people have watched Fleabag and felt like, s you know, so connected to it, but it does feel like I think you can say the same as well. Like, it feels like it's yours, like, it feels like it's
Mhm.
mine, and it's not, I know that, but it does feel like a personal connection because of that.
Mhm.
Um, she, you she does some shit things, like, what she does to Boo is fucked, and, like, she, like, hooks up with Boo's boyfriend, and Boo, does it's unclear whether Boo knew it was Fleabag. In my opinion, like, I think that's open for interpretation. I think that she didn't really actually know because she went to her, um I don't know, actually, I really couldn't tell you. It just
I think
what
it's
do
a
you
little
think?
vague. Yeah, I think you see the scene where she goes to Fleabag and was like, he's like I think I can't remember the exact word, but she, like, essentially says he's cheated on me or he slept with someone. And then at a later point, there's kind of the big reveal that Boo killed herself or accidentally killed herself because
Accidentally.
yeah, she says her intention was just to, like, essentially put herself in the hospital and make everyone feel bad, right? But when it flashes forward to that scene, that, like, heartbreak, like, she has the most devastated, broken look on her face in that flashback when she steps out into the street. That face makes me kinda feel like, did she find out it was Fleabag at some point? Because, like, I don't know, like, obviously, there's heartbreak of someone you love cheating on you, but I think the love she had for Fleabag when you see these flashbacks of their friendship, I think only that kind of heartbreak would look like that. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into the way her face looked, but I just saw that face and I was like, "That is, like, total devastation of everyone I love is not who I thought they were."
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to look at it, and I completely agree. Like, that makes a lot of sense. She was heartbroken to a different level, and I although men can break your heart like that, I think that only when they've created, like, a family type of thing, and clearly
Mhm.
Boo and Fleabag were family,
Yeah.
they were friends, but they had a family bond, they were sisters, in some way, shape, or form, and to do that to your sister, um, or a friend in general is a it I it's a terrible thing to do. I mean, there's nothing that you can say or do that would justify it in any way, shape, or form.
There's a lot of things I wonder about the relationship with Boo. The biggest question that I kind of think about is if Boo had survived, how would this story be different? Because I think there would still be a ton of like, the Fleabag, if I had to summarize it, it's shame. Like, she has intense self-loathing shame for what she's done, for who she is, for how she lives her like, she's walking around with such a heavy weight all the time, and typically you don't see the main character be the person that fucked their best friend's boyfriend, and we don't get
Yeah,
that reveal until I think the last episode of the 1st season. I think maybe the 2nd to last, but it's towards the end of the whole story. So you're witnessing this person suffer and struggle, and you start to root for them, you get to know her, and then you find out what she did.
right.
My heart was broken for Fleabag while I'm watching that. She's going through this intense grief. She's lost her mother, she's lost her best friend. These flashbacks showing her best friend is a very a romantic friendship. Says a comment, Fleabag says about her mom, "I have so much love for her and I don't know where to put it." And Boo says, "That sounds lovely, I'll take it. I'll take that love from you." And, like, that's incredibly romantic in the sweetest, most amazing kind of way, and I don't know, I'm just curious your thoughts, like, would you have still loved this show or rooted for Fleabag if they had shown you what she did in episode 1 or 2?
Oh, that's such an interesting idea. I don't think so, but I also think they immediately showed how flawed she was in other ways, right? Like, she was so cruel to men. Like, she was mean, like, it
Her
wasn't
boyfriend, what was
necessary,
his name?
Harry?
Harry,
Is
it's
it Harry
Harry.
or Henry? Harry.
Harry.
Oh, but he's so fucking annoying. Like, honestly, like, honestly, the way she was to him, like, I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense." Like, I understand also running back to that, like, who hasn't been I mean, I've been in that situation where I've had somebody who was, like, obsessed and loved me so much and was but so fucking annoying that you just don't wanna deal with them. But, like, you felt bad about yourself, so you kind of like this person who's obsessed with you kinda makes you feel better for a second, and then you're like, "But why am I dealing with this? This is, like." And he also, like, was so you brought up shame before. He was so constantly shaming her, and I thought that was very interesting too, because it was also, like, a little bit, like, religious, in the sense of, like, "Thou shalt not watch porn or masturbate," you know?
In season 2, there's this scene, which is so sexy when she's, like, calling him father, the hot priest, but there's a scene where she says she's, like, breaking down, she's crying. It's honestly one of my favorite scenes of all time and one of my favorite monologues, but it's essentially, I just want someone to tell me what to do. I want someone to tell me what to wear, tell me what to think. I want someone to tell me who I am so that I don't have to be it anymore, is essentially what she says. And I think that summarizes almost all of her actions, like the whole show. Not an excuse, but I think everything she's doing is she is passively letting everything happen and not stopping any of it, not standing up for herself or not deciding who she is at any moment. She's just, oh, the anal sex guy wants to come over and have anal sex. Okay. Like, oh, my boyfriend wants to get back together. Cool. He wants to leave me. Cool. Like, she's indifferent because she's heartbroken, is kind of how I
Right.
view her, like, the way she deals with things.
It's so interesting, and I agree, but I also think it's constant need for approval and, like, begging to be, like, um, not accepted, but more than that, like, chosen, right? And I think that's like, an issue that we as women experience, like, wanting to be chosen, that I don't think is discussed enough, or, like, understood enough, and, like, the intricacies of, like, how some people deal with it, right? And so she's
Mm.
constantly Fleabag is constantly dealing with, like, wanting to be the chosen one, even if it's just for a moment. Like, somebody's choosing you, like, "I'm gonna have sex with you, I can't deny you," and then she just wants to leave. Like, she has no connection to these men whatsoever. I don't know about, like, her sex thing. I don't know if it's I think it's just to feel something, like, to get her mind off of everything else that she's dealing with, and I feel like she's just, like, creating her own, like, chaos magic to, like, have control by having chaos, being in control of the chaos. What do you think?
It is chaotic and there's a ton of chaos, but her sleeping with Boo's boyfriend, she loved Boo. I don't doubt that. There's no part of the show, I think so much of all the trauma she's dealing with is because of how much she loved Boo, and the guilt she's dealing with it is not at the level, it's not an equal consequence to the action she took. And I think that's why it makes her forgivable in a way. Like, I think what she did was really, really
Yeah.
horrible, but I think by the time you find out what she did to Boo, you were so ready to forgive her because you have seen the intense, like, shame and guilt and sadness that she's experienced because of it.
Yeah, you're right, 100%. I couldn't agree more.
We've talked a lot about Fleabag and Boo, but we gotta get into Hot Priest because, I mean, this is why the show, like, the obsession is there because of Hot Priest.
He's the only person that sees her, you know, and I think that that's such an interesting part of all of this is the how he notices and everybody always focuses on, like, how he notices her breaking the fourth wall. Throughout the series, she randomly will turn to the camera and say, like, her little comment or her what's supposed to be her inside thought, right? Like, and he sees that she at first, he doesn't see, like, or hear what she's saying, he just sees her.
Disappear.
Right, she detaches, she disappears, right? Yeah, and nobody else has seen that. So it's like it's even surprising as an audience member, like, Whoa," like, "Wait, like, how does he see that?"
Going back to what we said earlier, like, oh, what moment in the show, I would argue that that was the moment where I was like, "I'm gonna think about this show the rest of my life." The first moment he breaks the fourth wall, I swear to God, I leapt out of my seat. I was like, did he just" it immediately made you a character in the show because suddenly the camera is not a device of storytelling, like The Office, for example, of, like, the breaking the fourth wall and doing the side interviews. It's not a storytelling device that you're used to. You're now suddenly realizing that she is actually in the story, disassociating, disconnecting, and no one else has noticed except for you. You know what I mean? And then he, like, it's
Yeah.
almost like suddenly there's 3 people in the room, even when it's just scenes with Fleabag and Hot Priest, it's you, Fleabag, and Hot Priest are suddenly in the room together.
Right? Like, that's what I think. I think that you're right, like, the 2nd season is what makes this show, like, um I don't think it's what makes it unforgettable, I think it's what gives us the excitement to be able to talk about it, because, like, otherwise, it's pretty bleak, but the 2nd season with Hot Priest is when, like, you have hope, There is hope of change, hope that, like, yeah, life you can move on, things terrible things happen, you lose the people you love, that's the most human thing that we experience is, like, losing your loved ones. It's fucking horrible, and it happens to everybody at one point or another, but, and the sun like, the hardest day is, like, after you lose somebody, the next day that the sun rises again and you're just kind of it's still life. And I think it goes back to also what you were asking me earlier that I never actually responded to, which is, like, what, like, was a moment that, like, you were like, "Oh, this is the best fucking show ever, and you'll never, like, forget it." It's definitely when he was like she was like, "I love you," and he says, "It'll pass." That is, like ooh, even right now, I feel it. Ah.
Do you think Priest and Fleabag were soulmates?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. I do. I think that that's, like, the beauty of the love story there. Like, they had a undeniable connection despite his, like, you know, what he had already, like, pledged his life to.
Mhm.
Like, he couldn't deny it for a little bit.
And I think through that, that's why he's able to connect with Fleabag, which is so weird because she's clearly an atheist. She's clearly not acting in a very, like, traditionally godly Christian way. But I think because he has done this, like, almost soul-searching, internal self-reflection, this grappling with who he is and his faith and what matters to him, that's why he's able to get a read on Fleabag and connect with her, like, so well. Am I crazy? Like, I don't know, I think if he had never become a priest, he would never connect with Fleabag the way that he does.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's a sense of being saving people, right? Because that's what Jesus did. Like, Jesus found lepers and hugged them still, like, took care of them, gave them love, washed their feet still, even despite, like, how contagious and terrible that disease was, right? And it was a love thy neighbor idea, and I find that or I found that a lot of people who are trying to emulate Jesus are trying to find somebody who needs to be saved, right? Needs the help. So, like, in that sense, like, I've heard people talk about him as predatory, and I understand that side of things because, like, she obviously is going through shit. I mean, the first thing that he knows about her is that, she had an or she had a miscarriage, like, that wasn't true, but, like, that's what he thinks at first, right?
I don't think he's predatory. I have seen that. I've seen that on the Reddit threads. Like, he's a predator. I think it's really easy to want to call him a predator, one, because he's a priest, and, there's plenty of stories that you can pull in to talk about that, but I think also you try to view him as like, well, if he's like a man of God, he should know better. And I think the whole kind of point of his character is he is struggling, like he I think he was an alcoholic. He clearly still feels lust and he's fighting those like temptations and urges and having an internal battle.
Which is so human.
He's not a perfect person. Like I think him being
Yeah,
imperfect and engaging in behaviors that aren't always great doesn't mean he's like being predatory. I think he genuinely feels the connection with Fleabag that she also feels with him. Should he have been
I agree.
responsible as a man of God? Maybe, but he's human.
I agree with you 100%. I don't think he's a predator in the sense I find it interesting that people think that he's a predator, and I do think it's because, obviously, if you have a certain title or a certain position, people, like, kind of jump to that, but she is like, that takes away Fleabag's agency. She is an adult woman, and she does go to church to see him because she's like, "I wanna fuck
Yeah,
the
she like
priest."
straight up
Like, "I
says like,
wanna
"I
fuck the
want to fuck
priest."
the priest," like, which I love.
Yeah,
I love
like,
it.
so, like yeah, like, I don't think, like, it's predatory in that sense. I think it's an interesting take on a soul connection. It's such a fascinating thing to think, is there soulmates? Does soulmate exist? And, like, is this kind of a look at, like, how your soul can just, like, connect with somebody, you know? You just have that immediate connection.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, and I feel like, there's, like, the line when she's in her therapist's office, and the therapist is like, "Do you wanna fuck the priest or do you wanna fuck God?" And I think you
Yeah,
could, I think you could dive deeper into that and definitely see, oh, maybe she does wanna fuck God, and maybe there is, like, a whole 'nother layer to this, but I also don't want to cheapen their relationship, like, I don't think she wants I don't think it's just that, you know what I mean? I don't think there's some, like, unmet need, and the priest is just, like, a symbol of that, and therefore she wants to sleep with him to, like, check some internal box or validation. I do think there's a soulmate connection, and I think him choosing his life as a man of God over that is the thing that finally allows Fleabag to grow. That moment of hope she had of, like, falling for the priest and getting to sleep with him, and then him still not choosing her. I think season 1 Fleabag would've unraveled and continued down a pattern of chaos and bad decisions, but I think season 2 Fleabag, the love she felt for him was so hopeful and so, like, pure and such a good thing that it literally allowed her to deal with the heartbreak of not getting it, if that makes sense. Like, it
Right.
gave her hope that life can be better even if I don't get hot priest, you know?
Yeah. It's a heartbreak that is, I don't wanna say acceptable, but that's where my mind is going. Like, it's a heartbreak that she can understand, and sh she doesn't grieve it. She's not grieving it in the same way that she had grieved her mother and Boo. She's obviously sad, she doesn't want that to be the case. She wants, and you wanna know what's something that's really crazy actually to Alyssa? This is wild. And I don't know that I've told a lot of people this, but my grandmother divorced my grandfather, and the next man that she married was a priest who left the priesthood to be with her.
What?
Isn't that wild?
Wow, that is
Yeah,
wild. Did you,
and actually,
like were you close with them? Like, I'm not sure how old are they alive? I don't know, like
my grandmother's alive. Her husband, who had left the priesthood, his name's Victor, he had passed away, but they had divorced too. They also, which is,
okay.
I find fascinating, to, like, also leave
To
the
leave
priesthood
priesthood, yeah.
to then divorce. Like, that's a big, yeah, I think it's, like, it's such a weird, like, it it's a funny thing. I don't obviously, like, not many people have done that or experienced that, or and to make that decision is huge. I actually have never even talked about it with my grandmother. I should probably ask her about it a little bit more.
But you should make her watch Fleabag. You guys should sit down and watch it together. She'll be like, "Oh, yeah,
I
he was a
should.
hot priest. I remember those days."
She's wild, my grandma. She's absolutely off her rocker, so
Perfect.
she's she's wild, yeah.
Her father, obviously repressive. I could talk a lot of shit about her father. One thing I will say, he says one of my favorite quotes in the show. He says, "You experience love so much more deeply than everyone else." And then he says, and that's probably a misquote, but then he says, "That's why you find it all so difficult." Like, that's the line I love. "That's why you find it all so difficult." And I feel like that almost redeems him a little bit, because I agree, I think a lot of her issues with men and needing validation probably come from the lack of emotional availability of her father. But I think in that moment, he is one of the few men that we see in Fleabag's life that actually sees her. Like, I think he's one of the few people that sees all the chaos and all the bad decisions and all of her struggles and sums it up of like, "Yeah, I see you. Like, I know why you're doing this, and it's because you're feeling it so much more deeply than I've ever allowed myself to feel it, and you were indulging all those emotions. If you were more closed off, if you had more walls, if you didn't let people in so much, you wouldn't feel this way."
Yeah, that's so fascinating. You're right, that's such an incredible quote, and such a moment where he, like, actually expresses something, because otherwise he's like, go home, like, let me get you a taxi." Really, like, trying to keep her from entering too deeply into him, like,
Mhm.
"Please stay away, babe." Um
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like, he has this, like, bitch ass, like, girlfriend wife
The
thing
worst.
who, like, just expresses herself in, like, the worst way possible. Like, I one of, like, a great quote that I love from Fleabag is, like, "To be fair, she's not, an evil stepmother, she's just a cunt." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's an accurate depiction." Like, she is just kind of a person who isn't good. Like, she's just, we called her before when we were talking about this, we were like, "She's Professor Umbridge." I don't know if people are Harry Potter listeners, but, like, she is very Professor Umbridge, like, sickly sweet in what she says, And the undertone is not nice, right? It's like there's always something that's like, "How dare you?" And Fleabag never says anything back to her really, like, not like, she never disturbs that, um, except she takes things, like, but,
Well, she did disturb it when, remember, she made her be a waitress at her, like, art gallery, and then she shatter a glass? I can't remember the exact scene, but I know that she kinda, like, was like, "Yeah, I'm done," um, with
yeah.
Godmother. Her character, I think, fully took advantage. I don't know if you've heard, like, it's men marry the woman in front of them ti when the timing is right. When they're finally ready to get married, they'll marry the first viable person in front of them, which I think that really simplifies men, and, like, I don't think that's completely true, but I think for some men, it is, and I think she fully takes advantage of that. This man who lost his wife, we assume he was in love with her, there seems to be some little hints of his own grief, right? She dies, and then Godmother is just hovering around, taking care of the house, making things are okay for him, and I would argue out of convenience, in his
Yeah.
desire not to be alone, he's like, "Perfect, okay, just place you right in this, like, empty spot in my household," and I think she did that in a calculated way of, like, "If I'm just present,
100%.
like, it'll be fine."
She fucking went in for the kill, like, she knew it, and it's so gross, like, when you're the godmother, the best friend of the person who passed away, like, it was very obvious, but right, to take it's not fair to take agency from him, like, he was like, "Fine." I think women do it too, though. The number of people I've seen that I'm like, "How did you end up with that dude?" Like, he was just the one who was there, like, I don't think it's fair to just put that on men, I think that's just a self-esteem issue. Either internally, either they have a self-esteem issue or they're going through too much, and somebody just consistently was physically or emotionally is just present. She shoved her way in, and, yeah, like, I don't he he clearly is, distraught over his wife passing, and doesn't know how to deal with it, and, like, having this other person manage everything for him is a lot easier than having to think about all of those difficult things, like, Fleabag is the exact opposite, like, if she had somebody handling everything for her, which is what she says she wants, right? She literally says that to Priest, like, "I just wish somebody was there to make every decision for me and do everything for me." Like, he did that. Like, he has somebody there making every decision for him, doing everything for him, and it's going fine, he's just with a miserable mean, not nice lady who is not nice to his kids, which I find reprehensible. I feel like that's like the biggest ultimate betrayal of everything. We talked about like Boo before, like what Martin did was terrible. I think that's an ultimate betrayal as well. But like to like disregard your daughters and allow this woman to treat them in a way that is anything but absolutely wonderful is unacceptable to me, like, "You treat my fucking dog wrong, I'll smack you."
Yeah. And I think that's I
Like,
think
"How
that's
dare
really
you?"
common too. Like, I think a lot of people have that experience of, like, they lose a parent and then their remaining parent ends up with a partner that doesn't respect certain boundaries or treat them with the same level of respect that they should. But obviously, Godmother's character is another level of, like, vindictive and shitty to Fleabag and her sister.
Do you remember, like, the statue that she steals, like, the little,
Mhm.
like, hot little body, and then,
Yeah.
like, it's a whole thing, and then it ends up being, like, Godmother says, like, she made it, like, based off their mom.
Oh my god. Ugh. 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 God,
It's
it's
so sick.
horrible. It's so sick.
It's so sick. So, like, who's
Yeah.
worse, Godmother or Martin? Like, they're both just both
They're
of the people in
equivalents.
her family. Yeah, yeah, and I feel like that is, like it's like
Ooh, sister is like dad, picks a partner, Martin, like godmother. Ooh, I never thought about that.
pre pretty hard, like, pretty wild, and finally, maybe Claire is gonna find something better in male
Yeah,
Claire, right?
yeah,
But, like, that's the hope. That's the hope of season 2, right?
yeah.
Season 2 brings so much hope. Uh,
Mhm.
it's such a fucking good show. Holy shit.
So good. Alright, so as we go to close out our conversation on Fleabag, Part of our season 1 approach is we're asking a ritual question at the end of every episode, and this season we're asking the question, "Who needs this story right now?" And so I'm curious your thoughts on who maybe hasn't seen Fleabag, who needs it?
I think if you are somebody who needs a hit of romantic, then watch Fleabag. Like, if you I feel like there's nothing out there that hits quite the same way, as Fleabag does. I mean, I can't think of anything else. I mean, if you're gonna compare The Notebook, like, it's annoying, they fight too much. Like, I don't like it. Like, there is nothing that hits quite the same way. So if you want some romance, you wanna read real romance and not, like, fairy porn, which I read, so no judgment, or, like, I don't know what else is out there, a million different things that's not really real romance, like, again, Twilight, where there's 2 men fighting over the same chick, which is every single Christmas movie too, if you look at them. Um, no, this is you need this. Take it, read it, watch it, enjoy it.
Mhm. No, I completely agree. I also feel like anyone who is, maybe going through a breakup that maybe they're not breaking up due to lack of love, you know? Like, I think something about, like, the priest and the way he made a choice and she has to accept it and move on. I think there's a really, like, beautiful message there of, like, you can love someone and it not be the person you're gonna spend your life with, and that's okay, and you can still, like, appreciate the love that you were given during it.
That's so beautiful. That's hard to do, but that's beautiful.
Thank you again to Steph for coming on and getting obsessed with Fleabag with me. If this episode meant something to you or if it made you think a little bit differently about Fleabag or even other stories you love, I hope you'll share it with someone, leave a review, or find us anywhere you like to spend time online. I'm Alyssa Much. This is Story Obsessed, and maybe there's a story you've been meaning to come back to. I'll see you next time.
That was awesome, Alyssa. It was so fun.